Today we have Larissa, who is the founder and CEO of this very interesting company. I would like to call it the new age Palantir.
Over the course of a year, roughly, we raised 2 rounds, seed and then Series A, raised $50 million from VCs like Bessemer and Kraft. We realized that all these AI use cases that come from different industries, different departments, different teams within an org, the actual technical components that you need to solve them are actually pretty similar. Think about, we built a whole huge box of Lego bricks that now we can use, collect, adapt, modify to specific customer use cases that they bring to us.
Why should I work with somebody like you? What is the advantage that I can get?
For many of the use cases, you can maybe find something off the shelf, but that means you are using a product that already exists for the masses. Like, think about it in this mindset. If you talk to a Wall Street bank right now, they tell me all the time that they have a backlog of thousands of use cases. They cannot evaluate individual point solutions for every single one of them. That is not a scalable approach.
In many enterprises, people were just trying to use ChatGPT or Claude to do something which was very specific, and you needed something custom to be built for it, but they were just trying to use ChatGPT to do it.
Your employees will do something with AI if you want it or not. And in the worst case, they will put your company data in their personal ChatGPT subscription.
Where are you seeing the most amount of adoption?
Software development is definitely one of the big things anyway, so I would say that is definitely the number one. I'm happy for our top use cases, maybe not being in like the super sexy, shiny areas. I love the use cases where enterprise leaders tell us like, wow, this is a problem and it has been for like 10 years and we've been trying all kinds of different solutions and we haven't been able to. Wonder if you guys could do this.
For the longest time, VCs would believe that we'll invest in companies which are very focused on one thing. Basically, you find out a very narrow problem and try to solve it and stay in that lane for as long as you can till you do like $5 or $10 million and then you start expanding. But what you are saying is that you have completely changed that model and you have been successfully able to raise $50 million as well. How did you do that and what is the mantra behind it?
Build AI, push the limit, conversations with no gimmick. Tech and juice collide in sync. That you're on, don't stop to think.
Hello everyone to yet another episode of Build AI. Today we have Larissa, who is the founder and CEO of this very interesting company. I would like to call it the new age Palantir. Larissa, would it be app description?
I mean, I'll take it and I can walk you through a lot of the differences. There are a lot, but it's definitely an interesting description for sure.
Right. So tell us, like, why is it called Unframe AI and what is the origins? When did you start this company? How did you start it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm one of the co-founders and COO actually. We were 3 co-founders, started the company at the beginning of 2024. We previously met in the cybersecurity space where we're all pretty active. Shai, who's our CEO at Unframe, he previously built a company called No Name Security, where he was the founder and CTO, leader in API security space. And while we were there, we realized like that LLM moment, the ChatGPT moment happened. And it was super, super exciting and really changing everything that we were doing in our personal lives. But the business side of things wasn't quite there yet. You were like still going to work and working with really old legacy clunky software every single day. And so we said, this is a fantastic moment to jump into AI and do something there. So we, over the course of a year, roughly, we raised 2 rounds, seed and then Series A, raised $50 million from VCs like Bessemer and Kraft, and build a team of close to 100 people right now. So been interviewing a lot, been selling a lot, been raising a lot, but it's extremely exciting. And you asked about the name Unframe. Actually, we started as a multi-product, multi-persona, multi-industry companies from day one, which is not the normal thing to do in business. Like often you start very narrow and then you expand from there. We turn all of that on its head from day one. And we're organizing our different solutions actually in what we call frames. Like, okay, let's break the platform out of those individual frames and build like one cohesive story on top of it. So we were like unframing it. And that's how we started.
Fascinating. Now, as a builder ourselves in the AI space, I have a lot of questions based on what you just said, right? So let me start with the first one. I have invested in about 32 companies and partnered with a lot of VCs and investors while we were doing that round. For the longest time, VCs would believe that we'll invest in companies which are very focused on one thing. And, basically you find out a very narrow problem and try to solve it and stay in that lane for as long as you can till you do like $5 or $10 million and then you start expanding. But what you are saying is that you have completely changed that model and you have been successfully able to raise $50 million as well. How did you do that? And what is the mantra behind it?
I mean, I can also tell you we got a lot of no's because a lot of VCs have their boxes in their investment memo that they have to tick, and we just didn't fit a box. So that happened. It's not like it was always just a walk in the park and super easy to raise. Like let's set that aside. But we really truly believe that our platform is so strong because it knew from the first moment of it being created all kinds of different departments in an organization, industries, verticals, different workflows that are completely different across industries. And that really made it a lot stronger. And we would not have such a solid tech and go-to-market motion even at this stage if it wasn't for that decision very early on. Plus, this is the first time ever in history you would have been able to do this because AI has so many different opportunities that it opens. It really helped us. And in a way, we're super lucky that we started this company when the LLM was already out in the market because you wouldn't have been able to do this before.
Right. So you are talking about early 24. So ChatGPT got launched in November 22. So basically there was like 14 months of LLMs based chatbots and things around, but not really much. It was like day -1.
Yeah.
How did this idea come into mind that we'll build an AI first company, and that too, which is not like a single product, but I'm guessing if you can also throw light on, is it a set of products? Is it a set of services? Is it somewhere in between?
Somewhere in between all of it. But think about it, we realized that all these AI use cases that come from different industries, different departments, different teams within an org, the actual technical components that you need to solve them are actually pretty similar. So what we did is we broke them down into individual building blocks. We call them almost like Lego bricks. Think about we built a whole huge box of Lego bricks that now we can use, collect, adapt, modify to specific customer use cases that they bring to us. And then we tailor them and configure them towards a specific use case, very, very custom to the customer. And we do that with something that we call a blueprint. Blueprint you can think about as like the Lego instructions booklet that you see in each of the boxes of Legos. And that's really what tailors the solution and makes it adaptable to the customer. And so as we get to meet new customers and more projects that we work on, that's how our Lego box gets bigger and bigger. And that's why we're able to do so many different customer projects.
Right. This is super interesting. Actually, in a way, we have a very similar thesis. So we are a AI venture builder. Mm-hmm. And what we do is we help domain experts build their companies. So we have also built a bunch of sort of, Lego pieces like our own agentic orchestration system, our own document processing system, our own, XYZ without going into details. And then it helps us every time that we are building a vertical AI company with the domain experts. So I completely get it. In fact, I'm like very happy to hear what you guys are doing, which is this is like validation almost.
It validates the market every time to hear someone who does something slightly similar.
And yet, just to sort of evaluate it for the benefit of the audience, that let's say if I'm a enterprise in financial services or commerce in the US, and I'm actually evaluating a product which is custom built for me, like let's say I'm a lending firm and somebody has built a lending AI solution. Why should I work with somebody like you? What is the advantage that I can get?
Yeah. I mean, look, for many of the use cases, you can maybe find something off the shelf, but that means you are using a product that already exists for the masses that was probably generated for the first 2 or 3 customers that specific software company had. Now, this might not fit your processes, your workflows, your needs to a T. Like you have to now turn your internal processes on the head to fit the software. And what we believe is like right now we have the power to give everyone what they actually looking for, what they need, not have the software determine how you run your business, but have the software fit how you do already run your business. That's super important here. Also a big advantage of working with not a point solution. Like think about it in this mindset. If you talk to a Wall Street bank right now, they tell me all the time that they have a backlog of thousands, hundreds of use cases, like many, many thousands in most cases. And they cannot evaluate individual point solutions for every single one of them. That is not a scalable approach to source, procure, govern, maintain all of those individual solutions. Impossible. So what you want to do is find a scalable approach. And that's why it's interesting to work with a platform like ours. This kind of goes back a little bit to like the new age Palantir model. Is we have a shared layer that all the solutions run on. It's called the knowledge fabric. And every time you work with us on one solution and now you have another use case, another pain point within your company, we already know a lot about you. Like our platform is already versed in your terminology and your data sets, and just that those learnings, it creates this whole fabric, and it really helps you to onboard new solutions, new use cases onto our platform, and then being accurate, tailored, and effective from day one.
Right. And actually, I'm probably picking up the signal here, but for the benefit of the audience, Palantir has made this one term very, very popular, which is called FDEs, like forward deployment engineers. And I think it's quite popular in the Valley right now. But in your model, are there FDEs or is it something very different?
Absolutely not. And maybe this is not the most popular opinion, but honestly, I believe that you probably only need FDEs if you don't have the technical capabilities out of the box. We build our tool, our platform, our set of solutions in a way that we don't need it because it's really cumbersome, actually. Like in most cases, an FDE is deployed for like 12 months, 18 months, something like that. It's a lot of onboarding, a lot of permissions within the organization, horrendous amount of cost. So we purposefully did not want our customers having to do that because you don't want to have like a very strategic decision of spending like tens of millions on an AI experiment. Like that's in most cases not going to fly. You want to have like a whole transformation, but do it step by step, like small wins, quick wins. That's usually the best way of showing value. So what we have is we literally jump on a call with our customers for like 45 minutes, 60 minutes. And we really understand the first use case, like where is a good starting point? Where should we tackle this partnership? And we bring in one of our AI product leaders. They listen to it. They know how to ask really, really good questions. And usually we're able to get a great understanding of the use case. We go back for about 5 days, and then we meet the customer again. And we will show them how we translated this pain point, this use case, into a solution it's ready for them to try. So it is really not just a mock or a prototype. It's a functioning solution that they can play around with. They can either use dummy data, they can hook up to their real systems, and they can see if they get value. If they don't, no problem. If they do, in the next step, we'll move to licensing, and then we charge per solution per year. Really, you know how much you will be spending. There's no gotchas, no surprises after the fact, and absolutely no cost or commitment before you actually feel like you're really happy with the outcome.
So you don't charge anything upfront, and you don't charge anything like a monthly retainer or anything like that? And then you just, once the solution is ready, the customer starts using it, they're happy, then they start paying for it. And what's the business model after that? How do you charge?
It's normal SaaS pricing per solution per year. So t-shirt based, small, medium, large, extra large, kind of based on the complexity of that specific solution. And it's an annual subscription. So if after a few years you feel like, okay, I'm not getting the value anymore, no harm done. You can stop the subscription, rip it out anytime.
Right. And who owns the IP in this case for each of your customers? Yeah,
so the IP for the platform is ours, and it has to be ours. Otherwise, this business model wouldn't work, right? But every single blueprint that we work on with the customer, so think about it as like that compilation of different building blocks that we tailor towards them, that will only ever be used once for that specific customer. So there won't be multiple companies running the exact same blueprint. That's not the case. So
okay.
While we have to own the IP, it's a single use type of engagement.
Right. So it's fascinating. Like before AI, this would have been very difficult to do. You're almost like a new Infosys or a new IBM. And all of this customization at mass scale was just not possible. But I can totally understand, because we are doing something very similar, more for building these vertical AI products. How is it possible? So it's fascinating time. Can you tell us a little bit also about like when you started, who were your first few customers, and today are these predominantly enterprises, and how has it changed over a period of time?
Yeah, absolutely. It actually is predominantly enterprises. because that is honestly, that's our background, that's our network. All of us have always been in enterprise selling companies. So that was what we know. And that's where we went after straight away. Very, very quickly, within the first few weeks of the company's existence, we went to our first conference as well. So I think we were week 3 when we went and exhibited at a conference and started meeting people. And we found very quickly that financial services was a huge draw because there's so much pressure, like from the board. It's the top one priority to compete against everyone else in the business. So that was an early win for us. Insurance as well, lots of unstructured data. That's how they came to us, automated claims processing and so on. And real estate, that's also a big market. In the meanwhile, we work across many, many industries, but I would say the 3 plus manufacturing plus consumer goods, I would say are the ones that we see coming back and back over and over again.
We couldn't agree more, because financial services is also one of the major. Actually, I built a fintech company before, and my CTO also was a CTO of a fintech company. And our third partner, who is based out of Bay Area, he actually was in the ventures team of BBVA Bank, BBVA Ventures in San Francisco. So we have a lot of financial services experience, and it's very good to hear that is turning out to be one of the biggest verticals as well, from your experience as well.
Absolutely.
I want to talk a little bit also about your own personal journey, across companies. Like, if you can tell us, like, what are the companies you worked for, and then how did that shape up your experience and skill set to be able to do this today?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first set out, I always knew I was going to be in the business world, marketing, go-to-market partnerships, entrepreneurship. Like those were the things that I studied in school. But I thought I would apply this to the biggest companies in the world. So I wanted to work for like the big brands. I went out to work for Airbus for a while, which I thought was absolutely fascinating. And I learned so much. And it was really cool to like see your product flying in the skies every day. But in go-to-market and marketing, I was like, my next product launch would be in around 30 years from now. And this was like I felt a bit suffocated by the speed in large enterprise, especially in something like, air travel. It's just not very dynamic in like the launching new product side of things. So I tried to do the exact opposite to that. And I wanted to move to the Bay Area because I'm originally from Europe, living abroad for quite a few years. But I was like, okay, what's the opposite of what I was doing? And that was moving to San Francisco and study startups. The best way of doing that was to go in there with a student visa. So I took my master's in San Francisco and then really looked for really innovative new companies in the Bay Area. Found a really cool company. I loved working there. Isn't around anymore, called Pernix Data in South Bay. Started working there, and they were looking to open an office in either Berlin or Paris at that moment. And I was like, okay, let's go. I'm originally German. They moved me over. We started the office here in Berlin, where 10 plus years later, I'm still today. You know how it goes. Like you somehow get stuck there. But it was really cool. I loved that experience. And we're like 100-ish people. Within a year, we got acquired by Nutanix, also still San Jose based. Lots of presence around the world, big offices also in India. And that we IPO'd, which was another really, really cool experience. But I joined them when they were around 1,000 people and left when it was like, I think close to like 6,000-7,000. So it was a completely different experience growing up with that company, if you will. Did a lot of acquisitions. So I worked with a lot of startups that were turned into like the bigger Nutanix brand. And then during COVID, I decided, okay, let's do something different in tech. You know how we all had this moment during COVID, like what can we do for the better of the world? And I was like, let's try cybersecurity because it's a different angle to tech. And I joined No Name Security, which, as I said, is like the company where I met my now co-founders, Shai and Adi. Shai founded the company back then, ran for about 4 years, was acquired by Akamai for $500 million 2 years ago. And that was the moment we got together and started thinking about Unframe. And we started building, raised 2 rounds, 50 million, and built the team since then.
How did you meet these guys? Like, so you were working together at No Name Security. That's where
correct.
You guys met.
Absolutely.
And then, so after the acquisition of that company, you guys decided, okay, let's let's do something new, and then AI was around.
Actually, we already left before the company was acquired, to be honest. But it was like because we felt this push or the pull, I guess, from the AI moment happening, and it was just the best moment in time to do it. When you have such a huge shift like AI LLM popping up, it's like now or never. You need to take advantage of it, and so we did that, and it was perfect timing because just a few months later the company was acquired.
I actually want to ask you some of the debates which are going on in the AI industry and tech world today.
Mm-hmm.
One of them being, so there are a lot of, obviously every single day we see a lot of new demos on Twitter and LinkedIn. And it's obviously the vibe coding era as well. So a lot of people are creating products on the fly. And then, but you, for example, you are doing a lot of work with the enterprises. What do you think, like, is there a difference between vibe coded products and things which look cool in demo versus the products which actually make an impact?
Absolutely. Those two worlds could not be further apart. All of those have a real reason for existing, but you work a lot with financial services. You cannot imagine that the trading desk of a Wall Street bank is going to say, oh, cool, we have like some intern who just vibe coded a new trading desk software. Let's hook it up to like the NASDAQ and let's get going. Like that's completely impossible. So two worlds that just don't speak to each other, I would say. What's most important working with enterprises is like the reliability, the trust, the security aspect. Often it comes to integrating into legacy systems. We work with a lot of enterprises that have some built in-house software from like 30 years ago or 15 years ago that's absolutely legacy, but they're fundamental to their business right now. A lot of it is manual in people's heads right now. None of that is like something you can do with some natural language app generator and have the trust of senior leadership. That's just not reality at the moment. And often what people forget is like, what about long-term maintenance and feature enhancements? Like you can have a bunch of people in the company that create agents, that create apps with vibe coding techniques. But what happens when they move roles, when they leave the company? You just have like a bunch of rogue agents running around like operating your business. That's not the reality.
Right. Very well said. Another debate it will be great to know your views on is, we call that horizontal AI versus vertical AI debate, which is going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think the core of it is that foundational models are growing in terms of their capability almost exponentially. A lot of generic horizontal AI tools which are being created, they may be like a one feature update to foundational models. And we have seen like hundreds of such companies going down because, for example, in video editing, I've seen a bunch of companies once VO3 and, Sora and all that, got updated. Do you see a world where startups could still continue building horizontal AI solutions? Is there still a space for that, or all the startups should focus basically on vertical AI companies and go into some niches?
It's an interesting one. Honestly, we've seen a lot of improvement on the LLM side, but is it really still going exponentially? Not sure. Like in the last few months here, we've seen the LLM kind of become a bit more of a commodity, I want to say. Even though there are updates, there are some really good players. It's not just the OpenAI anymore, right? Tropic is doing great things. Google is doing great things. And I think no matter what, we are just in the first inning of what we're seeing in like AI meeting the enterprise right now. So what we always tell our customers is like, you need to keep your options open. And especially with the importance of like business critical use cases in the enterprise, don't just rely on a startup or a like even if it's not a startup, but like a more experienced company, like one that's been longer around. Like don't put all your eggs in one basket. Like keep your options open. If you want to change a model, choose a partner where that is possible. If you want to change the interface, like a lot of companies just have like a natural language kind of chat interface, the way that we're used to it from our personal use of ChatGPT. That is not the type of interface that you need for all of your business software. That's not natural. That doesn't feel comfortable for the user. So I would always tell everyone, like, be flexible, try things, and choose the partner that works for that. And there might be use cases where a very vertical play is the right thing to do. In many cases, I think, just speaking of our own experience, I think you can learn a lot as a startup founder if you have a bit more of a horizontal view and kind of get to know different industries, different teams, different departments.
Right. And I think it's a question in general, but specifically in your case, because you're working across sectors and doing so many things, when you're looking at, let's say, within financial services, you're working for somebody like RIAs or a small business lender. How do you develop that sort of understanding of the workflows and what kind of data exists and how do these processes happen? That little bit of, I'm guessing, the domain expertise is required even to build any type of software for solving that problem. So how do you sort of cope up with that?
Is it though? I know it's a very controversial thing, but we are winning RFPs very, very often against other companies that have strong domain expertise, but they have the AI capabilities as an add-on after the fact. So even though they might be knowing the real estate, the health insurance, the manufacturing business to a T, the performance often lags because they don't have like an AI native brain, an AI native backbone from the start. So I think you can do a lot there to kind of make up for domain expertise while you're collecting it. That being said, it's really important to have fun understanding the domain. What we do is actually, it's not rocket science. We ask the customer, we observe the customer. If we are revolutionizing a specific workflow that they are doing manually right now, all we do is ask the question like, hey, while you're doing it next time, can we be on a call? Can you share your screen? And we just observe you doing it. And so we understand how this looks like for you day to day. And then we build the software around their actual needs and pain points.
Right. Okay, very interesting. And so far, we have seen that, a lot of AI products, sometimes they will have like little issues here and there around hallucination or how have you overcome that problem?
Yeah, the important thing is the tailoring. That's like the top one priority here, because many tools that you see that promise you we can do enterprise search across all of your business system, and you're just overloading it with like so much data that you have in the business that's not tailored to the specific use case anymore. So we really start with one use case, like what data do you need? And sometimes your integration source might be Salesforce, it might be your ERP, it might be SAP that is full of data, but you don't need all of that for that specific use case. So we really try to segment it so we don't overload the LLM and give it very clear instructions. We always ask it to reference the system of record again. So it's very easy for not only us, but the user itself to see where was this data generated from. And that gives you a lot of help already with citing itself. And depending on how our customers feel comfortable with AI, we add a lot of human in the loop steps for anyone who's just starting out, especially if it's like external facing use cases we work on or anything like that. We suggest not having agents run rogue and kind of take over the world in your company, but like, let's put in a few steps of human in the loop approvals just as you get comfortable and get your AI experience.
Since you are working with so many different companies across industries, I would love to ask you this question to see where we are in terms of adoption. So two parts to the question. One, which industries do you think are leading AI adoption? And then if you could also mention that, okay, within this industry, based on like number of processes which are there and how many have been automated with AI, where are we today? Are we at like 2%, 10%? If you could, I know it's a little bit of a crystal ball, but if you can throw some light.
No, I love it. I think the industries themselves, we do a lot of like primary research. We look at like those numbers quite closely, just for our own interest and kind of outbounding efforts. Financial services and insurance, they do a lot of work. It's just not in production in many cases. They're trying a lot. That's what we see. The digital natives, there's a lot of things going on there, and they are using it in production. So tech itself, quite interestingly. But I think more so than not, I would say the industries where there's a few key players, that's the deciding factor. So think about in like Wall Street banking, in top tier insurance in the US, in top tier real estate services in the US. Like those, you have a very clear set of like 3 to 5 key players that are very competitive with each other. And that's usually the areas where we see a lot of competition and moving very, very fast and trying out a lot of things that really make the difference in the AI native world. But overall in adoption, I would say probably some single digits, even though they're trying. it's a lot of, I mean, you probably saw the MIT report ad nauseum, but 95% of AI projects fail, right? So full production, single digits, in my opinion.
Also, in that study, it was very interesting to see that people just read the headline, but there was a lot of details inside it. So, for example, okay, maybe 95% projects fail, but then it said that in many enterprises, people were just trying to use ChatGPT or Claude to do something which was very specific and customized. And you needed something custom to be built for it, but they were just trying to use ChatGPT to do it. Obviously, it will fail. And then they also said that in the cases where they actually used an external vendor specialized to do that, there was a 70% success rate. And that changes the perspective quite a bit. Is that like how you are also seeing it in your experience?
Yeah, and I think a very important factor around that is like, even though you as a senior leader in an enterprise, you think like, well, we cannot do AI. That's sometimes we're like, our CISO would never approve it. You know, when they're early on in their journey, it's like your employees will do something with AI if you want it or not. And in the worst case, they will put your company data in their personal ChatGPT subscription. Like you can't, like it is happening. It is happening. So you better give them some kind of solutions that they can use, that you approve as a leader, that you feel good on the security aspect, that you feel good about from like a maintenance perspective, and that you have guardrails around. So you need to act. I would totally agree that that's what we're seeing.
Right. And as a follow-up, within enterprises, there are different things, right? From marketing, sales, software development, operations. Where are you seeing the most amount of adoption today?
I mean, we're not playing there, but I would say software development is definitely one of the big things. Like, I mean, I think everyone is using GitHub Copilot and Cursor, and like there's a huge reason for that being so successful. I would say that's a key area. Plus, the users there are naturally curious in terms of new tech anyway. So I would say that is definitely the number one. I'm happy for our top use cases, maybe not being in like the super sexy, shiny areas that are interesting. Like I love the use cases where enterprise leaders tell us like, wow, this is a problem and it has been for like 10 years and we've been trying all kinds of different solutions and we haven't been able to. Wonder if you guys could do this. And I love those because there's no solutions on the market for any of those use cases. It's very legacy to them, like very, very niche in a way that they wouldn't even know what to Google to find a solution. And that's really the stuff that I like most. This can be from operations, production, warehousing, like it can be really across the board.
Given your experience in marketing and sales, especially to enterprises, now, if you look at it from an early stage startup, usually people are very afraid of going to enterprises, and also for the right reasons, because it's very hard to get traction with enterprises when you're very small. But it looks like you guys had a lot of success and you have been around only since like 2024, right? So can you tell us something to like young founders and early stage companies, what they should do to sort of, go in and penetrate the enterprises? What do you tell them? Like, how do you engage with them? What do you tell them?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, don't plan on sleeping in the first few years. It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of grinding and pushing. And there's always setbacks, you just have to kind of pick you up the next day and start over again. But ultimately, what the enterprise cares about is the security aspect. They need to feel comfortable that you know what you're doing. And it really helped us having a cybersecurity background and having a track record there. We built all of our security controls, all of our security certifications immediately when starting the company. That was like, I think after the incorporation and the funding papers, that was kind of the next huge stack of paperwork that we did, because we just knew if we don't have those capabilities, it will be really hard for an enterprise to trust us. I mean, obviously, we also built our product in a way that there's no cost involved until they're actually happy. So that kind of lowers a barrier. But I wouldn't recommend that to everyone because it's a really hard thing to do. And most companies are not able to do that. So don't listen to this advice here. But yeah, I mean, I understand it's scary for many. For us, it was kind of what we had always done. So I would say it felt less scary. Honestly, if my background, just thinking like, I think doing performance marketing and like having to gain customers like SMB and like individual people through social media performance, I was like, that would be very scary for me. Like enterprise is what we've always done and know how to do.
Right. Just last two questions. One, is there any particular case study that you can actually talk about, that one or two case studies very quickly that, for this particular customer, this kind of problem, we solved this?
Yeah. So I can just tell you something I just discussed on a customer call this morning. So it's top of mind. We work with a really large and very reputable newspaper. So media company, basically. They still do print newspaper in this day and age. And with everything that's been going on, you used to have a huge proofreading team that went through all of it to check quality, to check spelling. But now there's so many articles across the print, across web, apps, all of the stuff that newspapers need to stay competitive. And they just don't have the bandwidth anymore to proofread everything. And that's an area where AI was really able to help them very, very quickly. Just think about it as like a co-pilot to the actual editors and then the writers itself. Currently, in order to hit the quality, they needed about 2 to 3 years of onboarding time for a new proofreader. But with our solutions now, they were able to reduce that time to immediate, basically no onboarding time. I mean, give or take a couple of days here and there to understand like your bearings of working in a new company. But that was a huge, huge efficiency gain, as well as the time that it took them from proofreading an article. We were able to lower that to 70%, reduction, and that made a huge impact. And I think it's a really cool story because no one would think the media industry, who's already scared of AI, and then traditional newspaper is a good starting point for AI transformation.
Absolutely, that's a very good example. My last question is that apart from your company in the AI space, is there another company which you admire or you think like they're doing great?
Interesting. Honestly, I feel like I see some of them every single day pop up. There's so much cool stuff going on. Do I think that from a business perspective, they are all going to survive? Probably not, because a lot of it, as we have seen it, as you mentioned too, with LLM improving, that they just like don't really have a reason of existing, unfortunately. But there's so many angles you can see that. There's some that I'm like, they're close to my home and I think they're doing something really cool. They pop up everywhere and like customer support. And then there's others in like the legal space completely taking over, not just like building software, but like those full stack AI companies that pop up. I'm not sure if you've looked at it a lot, but they don't just launch software. They are actually building a whole new legal firm, a whole new real estate company, like everything AI native from scratch. I think we'll see a lot more there. And I think it's really fascinating.
Larissa, thank you so much. This was wonderful talking to you. Very, very insightful. I'm sure our audience will learn a lot. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Love the synergies in our conversation.